Deep in the heart of a humble neighborhood stood the Bamboo Dojo, an old wooden temple surrounded by swaying trees and the scent of incense. He was a legend in his youth, now gray and soft-spoken, but his discipline ran deep. Strength without wisdom is chaos, he'd always say. The brothers trained every day, not to fight, but to focus. They sparred, meditated, and swept the dojo floor after school. They never thought they'd need the skills outside those 4 bamboo walls, until the sirens stopped working. One night, the peaceful streets of Sunvale turned cold. A new group, the Crimson Fangs, rolled in, masked, fast, brutal. The older gang, Iron Pulse, rose to challenge them. And in the middle, the neighborhood. The schools, their family. Master Riku watched from the porch as a shop across the street was ransacked. "Balance has broken," he muttered. Jaden clenched his fists. "We can't just stand here, Grandpa." Master Riku didn't speak. Instead, he stepped aside and opened the hidden door to the lower level of the dojo. Below lay ancient scrolls, weapons, and truths. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the ancient stone walls as Jaden and Micah knelt in the secret chamber beneath their family dojo. The air was thick with incense and anticipation. They'd trained here for years, but tonight felt different. Tonight, everything would change. Master Riku, their grandfather and sensei, sat before them, his weathered face serious in the amber light. "There's something you need to know," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "Our family carries a legacy far deeper than these walls." He told them of the 5 winds, not mere martial artists, but legendary peacekeepers who had worked in the shadows for generations. Their ancestors hadn't just learned to fight, they'd learned to heal, to protect, to restore balance in a world that desperately needed it. "All these years," Master Riku continued, "when you thought you were learning punches and kicks, you were actually learning something far more precious, purpose." His words hung in the air like the incense smoke, weaving through their minds. That night, under the watchful eyes of their ancestors' portraits, Jaden and Micah took the sacred warrior's oath, their voices steady despite their racing hearts. "I defend the peace. I protect the people. I strike only when I must." It was more than just words. It was a promise that would reshape their lives. In the months that followed, their training intensified, but now every movement held new meaning. They weren't just practicing forms, they were carrying forward a sacred tradition. By day, they trained harder than ever. By night, they began their real work, quiet acts of service that few would notice but many would feel. They helped elderly neighbors with their groceries, mediated conflicts in school hallways before they could escalate into fights, and stood watch over their community like silent guardians. Small acts, perhaps, but each one honored their oath. Whispers began to spread through their neighborhood. Who are those kids in the black belts? People would ask, noticing how trouble seemed to dissolve wherever they appeared. But Jaden and Micah simply continued their work, understanding now that true strength wasn't in being seen, but in making a difference. They weren't just learning martial arts anymore. They were becoming part of something greater, a legacy of peace that had survived generations. And in that candlelit chamber where their journey began, 2 more links were added to an ancient chain of protectors known as the 5 Winds.
Enjoying the video, correct? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Please leave your feedback, hit like, share the content.
The city had a way of holding its breath on rainy nights. You could feel it in the air, that electric tension like something was about to break. And break it did, the moment Jaden and I spotted that suspicious van creeping through our neighborhood. We'd been watching the Crimson Fangs for weeks. Their reputation preceded them. Vandals, thugs, the kind that left their mark by destroying what others built. But tonight, as we followed them to that dark alley behind the community center, something felt different. The rain drummed against the concrete as we watched them pull out their spray cans, their hooded figures illuminated by occasional flashes of distant lightning. This wasn't just any building they were defacing. This was our community center, where kids came to learn, where families gathered, where hope still lived in our struggling neighborhood. I saw Jaden step forward, his voice steady despite the tension. "You don't have to do this," he called out. I could see him trying to reach them, trying to find that human connection. But you can't reason with pride when it's wounded, can't negotiate with anger when it's already made up its mind. The first punch came out of nowhere, a flash of movement in the rain. And then everything exploded. The alley became a dance floor of violence, but not the kind you'd expect. My brother moved like he was made of water, deflecting rather than destroying. I followed his lead, our movements synchronized by years of training together. We weren't there to hurt anyone, that wasn't our way. Each block, each counter, each sweep was calculated to disarm, to disable without causing lasting damage. The rain made everything slick, but somehow that made our movements even more fluid, more precise. The crowbar in his hands gleamed dangerously in the dim light. But Jaden, he was ready. The block came smooth as silk, the spinning sweep even smoother. And when the leader hit the ground, Jaden stood over him, rain streaming down his face, and spoke words that echoed through the alley. This isn't your home, it's ours. It was beautiful, really. The way they melted into the shadows, leaving nothing behind but half-finished tags and wounded pride. Jaden and I stood there for a long moment, letting the rain wash away the adrenaline, the tension, the fear we hadn't allowed ourselves to feel until now. Sometimes the bravest fights aren't the ones with the most punches thrown, but the ones where you stand up for what's yours, protect what matters, and still remember your humanity in the process. That rainy night in the alley, we did more than stop some vandals. We reminded ourselves and them what it truly means to be part of a community.
Enjoying the video, correct? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Please leave your feedback, hit like, share the content.
The streets were different now. You could feel it in the air, that thick, uneasy tension that made your skin crawl. The Fangs were back, but this time they brought friends. Iron Pulse, their former rivals, now allies. Funny how hate can bring the worst people together. Everyone knew what they wanted, Sunvale. Our home. They weren't subtle about it either. Block by block, they left their mark. Family businesses that had been around for decades went up in flames overnight. The playground where we used to hang out became a ghost town. Kids started making up excuses not to go to school, clutching their backpacks a little tighter when they had to. Even the cops, man, they straight up pretended the East Side didn't exist anymore. It was like watching a disease spread through our neighborhood, slow and steady, destroying everything we loved. But in the middle of all this chaos, there was Master Riku's dojo. While the world outside was burning, he just sat there, calm as ever, sipping his tea. We thought he'd lost it, you know? But then he said something that changed everything. You've learned to fight with your fists. Now you must learn to fight with your hearts. You're not just fighters anymore, you need to become leaders. At first we didn't get it. But Jaden and Micah, they understood. They started reaching out, hitting up every local spot where kids hung out. The boxing gym downtown, the dance studio by the park, skate parks, even the chess club at the community center. Turns out we weren't the only ones who were sick of watching our home get torn apart. It was beautiful, really, watching everyone come together. The boxers taught us power, the dancers showed us flow, the skaters knew all about balance, and those chess players, they taught us strategy. We trained together, moved as one. We became something new, the Wind Circle. Now as we watch the sunset over Sunvale, we can feel it. The battle's coming, but this time we're ready. Not just as fighters, but as protectors. Because sometimes the strongest force isn't the one that destroys, it's the one that brings people together. Word spread through the streets like wildfire, whispers turning into shouts, text messages lighting up phones across the city. Everyone knew what was coming. The message was clear and simple. Meet at the old train yard sundown. The air was thick with tension as both gangs arrived, engines revving, tires crunching on gravel. The Iron Pulse rolled up in their signature black vans, while the Southside Riders came on their chrome-plated bikes. The setting sun painted the sky blood red, casting long shadows across the abandoned tracks. But this wasn't going to be like before. This time was different. There stood Jaden and Micah, two former rivals who'd found a better way. Behind them, 15 young warriors, kids from the community, students, athletes, stood tall. No brass knuckles, no chains, no knives. Just determination in their eyes and hope in their hearts. Walk away. Jaden's voice cut through the silence. His words weren't a threat, but a chance at redemption. The Iron Pulse leader stepped forward, face twisted in a sneer. No deal, he growled, his voice rough like broken glass. This town's ours. That's when it happened. The fight exploded like a powder keg, but something was different. This wasn't the usual street brawl chaos. This was poetry in motion. Jaden moved like fire, quick and fierce, while Micah flowed like water, adaptable and smooth. Their team of 15 moved as one unit, a synchronized dance of defense and protection. They weren't fighting to hurt, they were fighting to protect. When an elder got too close to the action, 2 warriors would shield them. When someone reached for a weapon, it was swiftly disabled. Every move had purpose, every action showed restraint and skill. The gang leaders watched in growing disbelief as their usual tactics fell apart. Their strength wasn't working against this new kind of opposition. This wasn't about territory or power anymore. It was about something bigger. In a moment of stillness, Micah locked eyes with one of the leaders. His voice carried across the yard, clear and strong. "We're not your enemies, we're your reflection." Those words hung in the air, heavy with truth, showing a different path forward. One where the streets didn't have to run with blood, where power could mean something more than fear.
Enjoying the video, correct? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Please leave your feedback, hit like, share the content.
The dawn brought more than just sunlight to Sunvale that morning. As the first rays pierced through the darkness, they revealed a town transformed. The gangs that had once terrorized our streets were gone, some in handcuffs, others simply vanishing into the shadows, and a few finally understanding the error of their ways. I remember standing beside Master Riku at the Bamboo Dojo, watching the townspeople come together. Where there was once intimidating graffiti marking territory, now bloomed beautiful murals celebrating unity. Children who used to hurry past with fearful eyes now stopped to admire the artwork, their laughter echoing through streets that had been silent for too long. The Bamboo Dojo, once a quiet sanctuary, now buzzed with energy. New students filled every corner of the training floor, each drawn by the story that had spread through Sunvale like wildfire. But what touched me most was seeing Jaden and Micah, no longer just students themselves, but teachers sharing the wisdom they'd earned the hard way. You should have seen them. Their patience with beginners, their gentle guidance, the way they emphasized mental strength over physical power. These weren't the same kids who'd first walked through our doors looking for a way to fight back. They'd become something more. Their story traveled beyond Sunvale's boundaries, reaching neighboring communities and inspiring others. But here's the thing. People weren't talking about their fighting skills or how they'd stood up to the gangs. No, what captured everyone's imagination was their courage to believe in something better, their determination to unite rather than divide. The transformation of Sunvale wasn't just about driving out the bad elements. It was about awakening something that had been sleeping in the heart of our community. Hope, unity, and the understanding that true strength comes from standing together. Master Riku said it best one evening as we watched the sunset paint the sky in colors that seemed brighter than before. The young warriors didn't just save their community, they awakened it. And in doing so, they taught us all that the greatest victories aren't won with fists, but with hearts brave enough to dream of change.